I hope. Okay. All right, we're going to get started. On your screen, you should see today's agenda. Is everyone able to view that?
Yes.
Yep.
All right, so we're going to start off with our school counselor introductions, transition activities. We'll view a sixth grade video that was shared with your fifth graders when they came to visit with us. We'll review a sample student schedule, PowerSchool versus Schoology. We'll talk about study habits, navigating the social scene, communication chain at McGee, sports and clubs, and then a Q&A. I did review everyone's questions that came through on the registration, so I'm hoping that through this, we'll answer all those questions. And then of course, if something isn't answered, we will touch on that at the end. All right, so just introductions. I'll introduce myself first. I'm Mrs. Barton. I have eighth graders this year, but next year I will be looping down to sixth grade. One of the questions was, will your student have one counselor? And they will. I will be their school counselor for sixth grade, seventh grade, and eighth grade. So as I told them when I met with them last week, I'll kind of be their go-to person for their time at McGee. And on the screen, you can see a little bit about me. Ms. Hughes, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Sarah Hughes. I am the current sixth grade school counselor, and I'll be moving up with them to seventh grade next year.
And Ms. Stevenson?
I don't know. Is she there?
You're on mute.
Yeah, sorry, I just unmuted myself. I'm Jessica Stevenson. I am the current seventh grade counselor. I'll be the eighth grade counselor next year. And our space, actually, we work very closely with one another, and we're all in the same little suite. So if for some reason Ms. Barton is not available, there is a chance that your child might see one of us.
All right. So for current transition activities that we've done, I hope that your student has shared some of what they got to experience. Last week we had Get to Know You Day here at McGee, where our students heard from our music department, they heard from our administration, and then they were able to break out into different groups and tour our building. So I'm hopeful that they talked to you about that. The kids were all really great. They had really great questions to ask. And then this week, and then I'm finishing one on Monday, I have been to the elementary schools I did a Kahoot with them where they got to kind of like participate in a fun way to learn more about McGee. And it also gave the kids a chance to ask more questions that they had after Get to Know You Day. So that's been really fun for me too, to just see where they're going to school. Although I had one student tell me the other day that I'm scary because I'm tall. So I hope that after the visits, the students know that I'm not scary. And I reiterated with them that I will really be their go-to person as they transition into McGee. And then in August, we have a sixth grade orientation and another tour. So I know one of the questions I received was, when will parents see the building? And that will be a time for parents and students to tour McGee again, ask questions. There was also a question about lockers. They will get a chance at that evening to practice opening a locker, practice opening a combination. And I did go over that when I was there for the elementary visits, because the lockers seem to be like the one thing that really stresses kids out. And so I went over that with them, and they seemed to be a little bit more comfortable knowing that they'll get a chance to practice when they come in August. So those are just some of the transition activities that we've currently done in order to kind of help facilitate a smooth transition for our students to McGee. Sorry, I'm going to play this quick video for you. And this is a video that I shared with the students when they came for Get to Know You Day, but it'll give you a chance to kind of hear from some of the teachers that they may have. And the sixth graders are split into two teams. So all the teachers that are in this video, they won't have all the teachers. It will depend which team they have, but it kind of gave students insight into like who their teachers may be. And each teacher kind of had just like some advice. So I just wanted to play that for you. If you don't hear the video, just let me know so I can figure that out, but we should be good.
Hi, welcome to McGee. I'm Mrs. Seibel. I teach science. I'm looking forward to learning about the world around you, having fun doing experiments and investigations. Can't wait to see you.
Hi, my name is Mrs. Burnham. I teach reading and writing for sixth grade. We are so excited to see you in the fall. I know you might be worried about your lockers, but don't worry, we'll help you with it all year long.
Hi everybody, I'm Mrs. Mahaffey and I'm the Team 6B math teacher. I'm so excited to see you guys next year and looking forward to all the great things we're going to learn. Thanks.
Hi
Hey everybody, I'm Mrs. McCorkle. I teach reading and writing for sixth grade, so I can't wait to see you guys next year. And you get to take a look at all our new books, and we have lots of exciting things to learn, so I can't wait to see you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Mr. Centerelli. I'm the grade 6 World Regions teacher. I'm very excited to see everybody next year here at McGee School. Have a terrific summer and see you next fall.
Hi, everyone. I'm Mrs. Botticello over at McGee. I teach 6th grade math.
Mr. Pelletier, science teacher. Hello.
Mrs. Guild, special education teacher.
Hi, I'm Mrs. Tarver, 6th grade ELA reading and writing.
Hi guys, I'm Mrs. Prentice. I teach reading and writing ELA in 6th grade.
And I'm Mr. Rossi. I teach grade 6 World Regions.
We're here to tell you some bits of advice and some hints to get you ready for 6th grade. The first thing to remember is who you are. Just be yourself at McGee. Be open to new friends.
So you got a big challenge in front of you. You got a big mountain to climb. Coming in the 6th grade is a big thing. And in your mind, you're all scared. You're all worried. I get it. I was once there. We were all once there. My advice to you, take it one step at a time. If you take it one step at a time, eventually you'll reach the end goal, the big game.
The good news is that you are not alone. We are actually here and we're going to support you all the way. Do know this, that the other 6th graders feel the same way that you feel the first day of school. And as teachers, we have the same energy. We're ready to meet you.
One piece of advice I have for you is to be successful here in 6th grade. You want to make sure you remain organized, turn your assignments in on time, and know that we are always here for you.
And just not to be nervous, even though we know that you're going to be a little bit stressed coming in, everybody's feeling the same way. We're going to be here to help and do everything we can to make your first couple of days at McGee run smoothly. And before you know it, you're going to know what you're doing and you're going to love being here.
And finally, embrace the opportunities that are going to be presented to you by your new classmates and your teachers. Don't be afraid to fail. Trying new things is an important step in your learning, and we really can't wait to meet you. We hope you guys have a wonderful summer, and we'll see you soon.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
All right, so that was just a short clip for the students, and they really liked that and listening to the advice that the teachers had for them. And so they'll meet them again at the orientation. A lot of the 6th grade teachers do attend that before school starts.
Can I just add to that, Ashley, the first couple of weeks of school, really even?
Ms. Stevenson, I think you're muted.
No, it's not saying I am.
I can hear you.
Okay, I can hear you now. Sorry.
Okay.
I thought you were muted.
It's saying something for the kids too. When we took them on the tours, they were asking a lot about just kind of like finding their way around the building. So even if after that day before school starts, they are still feeling uncomfortable, their teachers really spend the first week or two with them and walk them to classes and go over lockers and let them practice. So they've already had these transitional activities, but the first 2 weeks of school is really still based on trying to get them set up and making sure they transition well.
All right, so this is a sample student schedule. I just realized I spelled exploratory wrong. Sorry about that. But you can see that the students have classes periods A through periods G. So this is the current 6th grade schedule. So currently our 6th graders have their exploratories, AKA their specials, period A and period D. That could potentially change for next year, but important to note that they have 2 periods of exploratories. And then the rest of their classes, they have reading, world regions, writing, science, and math. So because in 6th grade, they have essentially 2 ELA classes, the writing and the reading. The language isn't offered until 7th grade, and then they'll continue in 8th grade with language. I know that was one question a parent had. And they do have the choice between French or Spanish, and we encourage the students to, whatever language they took in 7th grade, we encourage them to stick with it in 8th grade, just to build up those skills before high school. And another question was, if they receive intervention, what classes will they be missing? So if your student is recommended for reading or math intervention, then that will take the place of at least one of their exploratory periods. So that would be offered during the A or D block for our current students. And this is just the current school year daily rotation of periods. So you can see at the top, it says directed study day. So 3 days a week, the students have a directed study, which is essentially a structured study hall time. Sometimes during that period, if the student, say the student is with a directed, which is also like their homeroom teacher. So they go to the same teacher. So if their directed study teacher is their English teacher, but they need to get some extra help in math that day, then sometimes like that teacher will give that student a pass to be able to visit them, make up a quiz or a test, or maybe just review something that they need to. So the student will have, again, one directed study teacher that they report to on those days, but they can visit with other teachers as long as they have permission during that period. And when I was at the elementary schools, I reiterated that that's a great time to get homework done. A lot of the students were asking how much homework they get. And really, if the students take advantage of the time in directed study, and a lot of times teachers will give kids a chance to start homework, before they leave school for that day, there really is a lot of time built in for students to get that homework done before they even leave school. But you can see the start time is 7:35, and then the dismissal time is 2:20. And then during period E, we have our lunch waves. So that's a long block. So the students will report to their period E class. They'll have either independent reading time or the lesson for that day, and then they'll go to lunch, and then they'll come back to their period E class. Lunch is 20 minutes. It's actually plenty of time for the students to get their lunch. At first, I thought that was like a really short amount of time. I think they get a half an hour at the elementary schools, but there's usually 2 lines going. So the kids that are getting a hot lunch or a cold lunch, they get their lunch pretty quickly. And at least in my lunch wave, Miss Hughes and Miss Stevenson can touch on this, but at least in my lunch wave, the kids are well done eating their lunch with plenty of time to sit and socialize. Most kids finish their lunch within 10 minutes. So it does seem like a short amount of time, but it is plenty of time for the students to eat and still chat with their peers. Someone did ask about the cost for the lunch, breakfast and lunch. I haven't heard yet if free breakfast and lunch will continue for next year, but I'm hopeful that it will, but we don't know that answer yet. Did anyone have any questions about the schedule? And feel free to unmute if you have a question, or you can put it in the chat and we'll touch on those at the end. But if anyone has a question about the schedule or the daily rotation of periods, please let me know. Your students should be getting their schedule towards the end of August. I don't believe it's towards the end of August that the schedules will be completed.
Yeah, I put it in the chat. This is Tracy. But in past years, they had rotated classes each day, but it looks like you guys are currently not rotating. So it's the same order every day for each class.
Correct.
Is that
it's the same order? Yep.
That could change. They haven't told us yet. As of right now, yes, they're in the same order, but they've even said when administration addresses it with us, they use the word currently. That is what we follow.
Yeah. And that's important to note for, we have some students that are tardy to school, frequently tardy to school. And because the schedule doesn't rotate, if your child is coming late to school every day, they will be missing the same class, part of the same class every day. So that's why it's really important. And I reiterated with the students, it's really important to get to school on time, because especially, this year they have exploratories first period, but next year they could have a core class first period. And we just want to build in those habits in terms of attendance. Okay. All right, Ms. Hughes.
So I just want to take a quick second before I go over Schoology and PowerSchool. If I looked, and most people don't have their camera on. So can everyone take a second and just let us know in the chat? I'd love to know, is this your first child to come through McGee? Are you first time? You can just write first if you are. I just want to see how many parents we actually have that have not had children come through here yet.
A lot of first times.
A lot of first times. Yeah. That's great. Yeah, looks like
Mostly first times.
99% of you, it's your first time. Oh, hi, Mrs. Recupero. How's Dominic? Okay, so that's great.
Sorry,
So-
he's good.
He's good. Tell him I said hi. So that's good to know, especially this next piece about PowerSchool versus Schoology. There's just a couple minute clip that I'm going to have Ashley play for you, and then I'll talk a little more specifically about the two of them and how you can use them as a parent.
Hello, everyone. So now that your children will be learning online, many of you have questions on what that's going to look like. So hopefully this video can answer some of your questions. The first thing your children are going to do is they're going to go to berlinschools.org. Once they do that and they scroll down, underneath students, they will see a link to Schoology. They're simply going to click on top of that link. When they do that, they're going to be prompted to sign into their Google account. And then once they do that, they will have access to their Schoology page. In this online learning management system, the page defaults to recent activity, where they will see all of their messages from their teachers right there. They can also click on top of course dash.
Ashley, we can't hear it anymore.
Yeah, lost volume. I wonder if because she's muted.
Let me.
I can.
Or if they click right at.
I'll restart the video. I didn't realize I'm going to hear it.
So hopefully this video can answer some of your questions. The first thing your children are going to do is they're going to go to berlinschools.org. Once they do that and they scroll down, underneath students, they will see a link to Schoology. They're simply going to click on top of that link. When they do that, they're going to be prompted to sign into their Google account. And then once they do that, they will have access to their Schoology page. In this online learning management system, the page defaults to recent activity, where they will see all of their messages from their teachers right there. They can also click on top of course dashboard, where they will see all of their courses that they're participating in. So for instance, students that are in my digital literacy class would simply click right on top of the digital literacy link. Teachers are working super hard to streamline the information so that students are not overwhelmed. As you can see here, there are two folders that my students are looking at. One is a welcome folder, and one is a folder that says lessons March 25th through 30th. If they click the caret to the left-hand side, they can see a shortcut to all the different things that they're going to be working on. Or if they click right on top of the title of the folder, that will open up just the folder. And then your children are just going to start from the top and move through the bottom. Teachers can add in different types of materials. Right here is a link to a Zoom meeting. So directions are very clear. Join the Zoom meeting, click on the link below. So my students would come over here and simply click right on top of this link, and it will take them to their Zoom meeting. Underneath that are their directions for this week. Welcome back to school. I'm so happy to be working together again. You have 3 jobs to complete by midnight on Monday, March 30th. Here are their 3 jobs. Teachers have also shared their different office hours. Here's a link to a warm-up activity. So my students will click here and they will be brought to a warm-up activity. Likewise, here's an assignment and a discussion board. And then underneath are different resources. For students who are getting assignments within Schoology, if they click on top of the assignment, the assignment opens up. It explains what the assignment is. And then they click on the My Document tab. As you can see here, it takes a moment, but their document will load right underneath, right here. And it's loading, it's doing its job. And so my students see that they need to complete this file. and then they would simply hit submit assignment. Once they do that, the teacher gets the assignment and can correct it and send it back to the student or accept it as is. When students are done with their assignments, they can go back, and here they are right where they started. Schoology also has a really great communication tool. On the left-hand side of your children's Schoology course, if they click on top of the updates button, they will see all of the different messages that the teacher for that course has recently posted. In the upper right-hand corner, there's also an envelope. Teachers can communicate directly with students through this envelope. Students will know if they have a message because they would see a little number 1 or a little number 2, depending on how many messages they have. Students can also write messages if they click on the new message link. Along the right-hand side, students will see exactly what's due and when it's due. All right, and that completes our introductory course to Schoology. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me, or please feel free to reach out to your teacher. Thank you.
Okay, so I know that's a ton of information about Schoology for you, especially because most of you have never used it or seen it. Schoology is an online management system that we started using several years ago. Your student will know it very well starting right when school starts. They will use Schoology in every single one of their classes. The teachers all model the way they set up their Schoology the same way. It's a great tool for if you have a student that's absent, can't be, maybe there was a COVID exposure and they can't be at school or something like that. And they tell you, oh, I don't know what we're doing in class. That is how they would find out what they're doing in class. They could go to Schoology, they can see what actual assignments the students in class were doing that day. They can get messages from their teacher through that. It's a really great way for all students to basically always know what's going on in their classes. You do not have access to it as a parent. If you would like to access it and look at it each day with your student, they would either just have to give you their login information, or you could log into their Chromebook with them and look through Schoology. We used to require students to have an agenda each day to fill out what assignments they had for that evening. A lot of the teachers in 6th grade used to stamp the agenda each class to make sure that kids had written down their assignments. As school counselors, we still recommend that students use agendas as just a really great tool. But you know, for us parents and anyone that's of our age, we don't live in the same world they do. They do everything digitally and online. And so a lot of them don't write things down anymore. So when Schoology started, it was a great way for kids to be able to keep track of their assignments. One of the last things that Mrs. Salino talked about was down the right-hand side, it's like a calendar. It just lists all their assignments in order of what's been asked of them to do. So if they're not sure what they should be doing that night because they forgot, because a lot of kids tell us, oh, I just remember every night what my homework is. They can actually go into Schoology with you, and you could scroll down and ask them each assignment, have you done this? And sort of check it off like a checklist. PowerSchool is something a little bit different. PowerSchool, you can go to the next slide, Ash.
Okay.
PowerSchool is something that I would assume all of you may already have access to. I also have a 5th grader going into 6th grade. In my district, we use it minimally as parents of my 5th grader. Like I've gone into it before and looked at it, but really he's not getting grades in the same way that 6th grade students do. So I don't really use it a lot, but PowerSchool is an app you can have on your phone, or you can use it on a computer. If you're unsure of your PowerSchool login, we can help you manage that. PowerSchool is something you have access to and your student has access to. But basically, PowerSchool is an online grade book. Back in the day when we were in school, teachers had their red grade books. They'd sit and write every assignment in and write in all the grades. Now we are just given the gift as parents and students to have access to the teacher's grade book. With that said, it is live and in real time. However, if a teacher has 130 assignments to grade, the grades may not be in there yet, but your student may have handed it in. A lot of times we'll talk to parents and teachers or parents and students, and the student will say, my mom is so mad at me, because I have a 0 for this assignment, or there's no grade for this assignment, but I did do it. They absolutely could be correct. A lot of teachers will put in a symbol for you to show that it has been handed in, but it has not been graded. And also a lot of teachers will put in a 0 if it has not been handed in yet. I would say in 6th grade, just coming out of 6th grade right now with my current class, you couldn't ask for a better group of teachers to start your kids on their middle school journey. All 6th grade teachers are elementary school trained, which is unique to the 7th, 8th grade and up. They're secondary trained. So your elementary school trained teachers are the ones that are really starting them in middle school. They do a lot of hand-holding, a lot of coddling, and really trying to help them ease them into this transition. And they're like that with grading. So in 6th grade, there's lots of opportunity for kids to talk to their teachers, make things up. Maybe, yes, they have a 0 in there because they didn't hand something in, but they're not going to have to keep that 0. They can go back and, get that assignment done, and then the teacher will replace that 0 for you. So PowerSchool is more your tool to help your child figure out what's missing and needs to be done. Schoology is more your student's tool to figure out what needs to be done.
And Sarah, if I can just add one thing, and then I think we had a couple people that I saw raising their hands.
Yep.
But one thing to note that I've encouraged or reiterated with the elementary school visits that I've gone to, homework right now is, I think in the elementary schools, it doesn't really factor into their grade, but homework here does. So that will be a shift for a lot of kids. And so just really trying to encourage those study habits, for homework, especially so that they don't start to see a buildup and then in turn start to get overwhelmed. But like Sarah said, the teachers are really flexible. So if they turn it in late, obviously we want kids to work towards turning things in on time, but most teachers will still accept it, especially for 6th grade. I saw, I think a Davis was raising their hand. If you want to unmute. I'm not sure who the other person was that raised their hand. I just saw them.
Vanessa.
Yes, my question was, will you send us the district code for PowerSchool? I have it. I have the app on my phone for some reason. I don't know why, but I can't get into it. And it asks for a district code.
You should be able to get that if you call the main office.
Yeah.
It's usually like a 4-letter code, I think. But if you call the main office, they should be able to let you know what that is.
Yeah. McGee or Griswold? McGee.
I would call McGee. It should be the same for anywhere, but I don't think, because your child hasn't rolled over yet, you may not see anything for McGee, even if you put the code in right now.
Makes sense. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Were there any other questions before we go into the next slide?
I saw somebody wrote, are kids still Zooming? Currently, kids are able to Zoom if they're home and on our list for quarantine due to COVID. They're able to Zoom. I don't think it's required, but we have had several students that have been Zooming that were home with COVID. They don't get to Zoom for any other reason. So they can't just be homesick and be Zooming. I know in Mrs. Selena's video, she talks about Zooming. I think while the Zooming piece isn't as important, what is important really just is what she was trying to explain was that even if your child isn't in school, they still can be aware of everything that's happening in that class that day. Just what they're working on in class, what their homework assignments will be, the topics discussed, et cetera.
And Sarah, I don't know if you had mentioned this, but as a parent, lots of times, especially in middle school, kids will come home and they'll tell you they did something or they can't do it because they forgot it at school, and all of the resources and materials usually are up in Schoology. So if you have a child that says that to you, I would have them pull up their Schoology page and look, because lots of times you can print the assignments out if they lost it or misplaced it, or just telling you that they handed it in and maybe you don't feel they did. Everything should be up there for you.
All right. So developing good study habits and just in general things, for helping them to be good students. As Ashley said, at the elementary level, it sounds like homework either wasn't like either counted towards their grade necessarily, or it just wasn't a big piece of their school year. I know with my 5th grader, he had a few math homework like problems each night for the majority of the year, but that was really it. Your 6th grader is going to get much more homework than that. At least it's going to feel that way to them. They are typically going to start it off like trickling it into their life because they are trying to help them with the transition. And then it'll become a little more prevalent. But basically, as a 6th grader, they're going to have 20 minutes of reading every night. 6th grade is unique in that they do have that reading and writing class, 2 ELA classes, which changes in 7th and 8th. And as part of their reading class, they will read 20 minutes a night, and often they do jots where they have to learn to take a couple of little notes or ask questions about what they are reading. They will have math homework every single night of the entire school year, basically, other than weekends and vacations. And then here and there, they'll have assignments. What I've noticed this year is like in world regions, they'll work on an assignment in class, and if they don't get finished, they need to finish it for homework. Homework counts as 10% of their grade currently, unless they change that. So yes, there are students that struggle with getting homework done and still do well in class, but we try to really, create those great habits, especially in classes like math, where everything builds on the lesson from the day before. Helping your students stay organized is really great. Some of the teachers, especially 6th grade teachers, again, because they are helping with the transition and they are doing a little extra hand-holding, they spend time in class helping them stay organized, especially in classes like math. They'll have very strict notebooks that they have to come with and how it's organized, and the teachers will work with them in class on how to do that. But, if you can help them at home at all, trying to encourage them not to keep every single paper for the entire school year, carrying it around. When they get larger assignments or projects to work on, helping them break it down little by little, planning out a calendar. That's again where having an agenda is helpful to show a student how to break up a bigger assignment into smaller pieces. I like the number 2, emphasizing the importance of keeping up. A lot of students that, that maybe start to struggle, it'll feel like the weight of the world when they have a million assignments to make up. But, if they can try to stay current, it's a lot easier than having to make up a whole bunch of missed assignments. Certainly, if they are sick, they get extra time to make up assignments, but trying to keep up with the pace is probably their best bet. Communication with their teacher. And when we say this, we mean the student's communication with the teacher, not necessarily the parent's communication with the teacher. That we're really trying to encourage them to be independent at this point. We know they're not 100% independent yet, but really helping them to problem solve and work with them on that stuff, but not rescuing them all the time, and really helping them to email your teacher tonight, tell her you're struggling with the assignment so it's not going to be complete. Things like that. Spend directed study, go see your math teacher, tell her that you need extra help, you don't understand it. I was sitting with some 6th grade teachers this morning, and they were saying to me, one of their frustrations with students at this age is they really want them to do the work and the assignments for the learning, not the grade. But they know that 6th graders are coming in having not really had grades before like they will now. And so many students are just worried all the time, what am I going to get for a grade? What am I going to get for a grade? But, as they said in that video that Ashley showed, don't be afraid to try. Don't be afraid to take a risk. Don't be afraid to fail. This is the grade that's really going to help you, try, fail, make a mistake, and they're going to help pick you up and put you on the right path. And this is the time for them to really do that, and really trying to encourage them to do it for the love of learning something, not just for the grade that they're now going to get. Okay, you can go to the next one.
And just quickly, one thing that I would really recommend in terms of organization, especially if you know your kid struggles with it, is to do a weekly backpack clean out or a weekly binder clean out and throw away the stuff that you know they don't need. If there's stuff you think they'll need later in the trimester, like I would suggest having a separate filing system at home so that their current binder isn't getting like filled and then they're having trouble finding things and all that. So I always suggest that parents do a weekly clean out on like a Friday or a Sunday. Just even taking 5 minutes to go through is helpful.
Especially because your student's going to get to practice lockers, like Ashley said, but we stopped requiring them to use their lockers. I don't know what, like in the since COVID. So kids used to have to use their locker. We kind of put in times where we told them to go to their locker. So it's usually their locker that we would find as disasters with every paper under the sun and sweatshirts from the entire school year. But lots of students have chosen not to use a locker and just carry everything in their backpack all day long. We recommend using your locker. Backpacks are heavy, Chromebooks are super heavy, and they're not just going to be carrying a Chromebook around middle school. So we still try to encourage kids to use their lockers, but because they're not all using their lockers and they're using backpacks, those backpacks get loaded with things that they really don't always need to keep. Okay, so navigating the social scene a little bit. Middle school brings about big change socially for kids, commonly because first, we're coming from 3 different elementary schools. This is the first time that they're all together. And that's really exciting for some kids. It's really an anxious thing for some kids. We really greatly encourage students to try activities, try things out. There's many more sports at this level that they can try out. There are clubs and extracurricular activities we're going to discuss a little more specifically at the end. It's a great way for kids to meet new people. While many of us will keep old friends from elementary, sometimes as parents, we might want to, we've been with these same students since they were 5 years old. We want to try to push them in the direction of meeting other new people, and this is a great opportunity for them to do that. Each year, your student the computer kind of mixes them all up and throws them on another team. So while in 6th grade, they might love that they're on 6A and love the kids they're with, well, when they go to 7th grade, they're going to be with a whole bunch of different kids. So it's just a really nice time for them to meet lots of new people. Maintaining family activities. We say while they are middle schoolers and we are, very aware that this is the time when they're becoming much more independent and themselves, they still really need your love and your guidance and connection to their family. Even if sometimes they're not as pleasant to be around because they're middle schoolers, they still are much so needing you at home. Building self-esteem, are the kids that are feeling more confident are the ones that are less influenced by social things and peer pressure. So again, helping foster that self-esteem even by having them, like number 1, trying new things and meeting new people. Friendships are certainly going to shift, adding in the number of students that you're going to add into their lives. And we help your student when they're in school deal with some of those shifts. I would say 6th grade, there's some of that shifting. We see much more peer related drama and things like that in 7th grade, and certainly less of it in 6th and 8th. Discuss bullying with them, but again, help them problem solve. If they're having difficulty with a student and it's happening in a specific class, and encouraging them to talk to that teacher. We are all certainly here for them if they're having any issues with specific students. In a few minutes, Jess is going to talk a little bit about the chain of command here and who to go to if your student is having ongoing issues with somebody. And we certainly discuss this topic too with them when they're here. And as I've said several times, just promoting that independence, trying to help them become more self-sufficient. Sixth grade, even the teachers, they're great and they're nurturing and loving and kind and elementary trained, but by mid-year, they're going to try to start fostering even a little bit more independence so that when they go off to seventh grade, they are that much more independent. And the seventh grade teachers are going to do the same thing so that by eighth grade, they are even that much more independent. But again, help them problem solve, help them, plan out their way to attack a problem, but let them do it on their own as much as they can. They can seek guidance from us along with you, with their teachers, with administration, but we're really trying to help these kids be a little bit more self-sufficient.
So because you're going from such a small environment in elementary school and you kind of have your one point person as that main teacher, and then you're going to McGee where there's 5 core teachers and then several exploratory teachers and a counselor and an administrator, we thought it would be important to kind of just go over who are your resources and the chain of command in terms of like who you would contact when. So if you have any specific academic concerns, if it's a concern about math, contact the math teacher, and ELA, contact the ELA teacher. There's also a team leader for each team. So if there's something that's going on the team, whether it's just a question, maybe there's a field trip or you want to have a meeting with all of the teachers, you would contact the team leader for something like that. And then if there's social, emotional, or academic concerns that haven't been resolved by the teacher, then that's when you would reach out to us. Sometimes we have parents that will just call us, maybe there's something going on at home, or they just kind of want to troubleshoot something with us or talk something through. And that would also be a reason to reach out to the counselor. And then if you've kind of exhausted all of your resources and haven't gotten what you needed, that's when you would reach out to administration. Or in certain circumstances, if there's something you bring up to a teacher or bring up to one of the counselors, we might say, you know what, we want to pull administration into this. So developmentally, Sarah kind of talked a lot about this. Middle school is a time when your child is kind of pushing away from you and wants to be more independent. So we thought it might be nice to just walk through a couple common scenarios that you might see in middle school or something that your kid might come home with, and what you would do in some of these situations. So we'll do the first one and then you can just respond and answer in the chat. Your child reports that a student in their class is bothering or teasing them. What would be your first step, your first plan of action with them? A couple of asking for what the full story is, encouraging them to talk to the peer. Absolutely. Some of you are still writing. Really what we want you to think about with this is kind of really that whole independence piece again. I feel like we, parents, teachers, just a society, we really want to rush in and help our kids because it's very well intentioned and we love them and we don't want them to suffer. But what we're seeing is a lot of these kids, especially as they get into high school and college age, is they don't have the problem solving skills that they need or the confidence that they can handle situations on their own. So it's really important with some of these situations that you kind of put it back on them and let them tell you what they think they should do or how they can handle it, where you're kind of guiding them on the way. You know, a lot of times we have kids, we do a lot, and we'll explain that at the beginning of next year, kind of our counseling curriculum and the things we do. So we really try to make them independent as well here, and have them use us as a resource to problem solve as well. But we want them to kind of feel discomfort and be able to learn that some of these things are okay, that sometimes people are not going to be mean and everything is not always going to, everything's not going to always be comfortable for them, and that's okay because they have the skills and the resources to work through some of these things on their own with our help. So second scenario is your child sends you a text message during the day saying that they're upset or feeling anxious, even though they're not supposed to text in school. This happens frequently, and that they want you to pick them up from school. What should you do? And you can also answer that in the chat. some responses of encouraging to use coping strategies and self-soothe. Coping skills are also something we speak about with the kids. In a situation like this, obviously reassuring them and letting them know, that everything's going to be okay, but then also asking them who their resources are in the building. Lots of times kids have a teacher that they're comfortable with. Lots of times they'll come and seek us out. Other times it's the nurse or an administrator. And in a situation like this is definitely when you could give one of us a call or the main office a call and ask for them to get one of us, so that we can check in with them and see how we can problem solve.
I just want to say, I love one of the responses was, I'd ask why she's texting during class. And I love that response because that is a very good question, because it's something that I did really reiterate with the kids, is that cell phones are not allowed at any point during the day, not even during lunch, not even during passing time. And we really want the kids to utilize the resources in the school if they're having a hard time. So we have a lot of kids that will sneak into the bathroom and cry in the bathroom in between classes, and then they call their parent, and sometimes parents will come and pick their kid up from school. And I know that it's hard when you get a call from your child and they're upset and you want to just fix the problem for them. But the best thing that you can do is, like some people said in the chat, is to use strategies and use resources that they have in the building. That's one of the worst things that you can do, is come pick them up from school, because then they know that anytime they're feeling that way, that you will come and swoop in and save them. And again, I know as a parent myself, I know it's hard and you want to be there for your child, but the best thing that you can do is encourage them. You'll get through this. This was just one, blip in your day. You'll be fine. I know that you can do this. I know you're strong. And just, encourage them to use the resources they have in the building, such as their teacher, such as their counselor.
Go on to the next slide, Ash. So there's a variety of things for them to get involved in here. And as Sarah was talking about, that whole social piece is so important in middle school, and a great way for them to make friends and get to know people, and also just feel connected to our building and our school, is for them to join sports and clubs. There's a few that are listed here. We also every year, Miss Lord, one of the secretaries, puts out, I think usually it's an email blast, but I think it's also on our website with a list of whatever the current year's clubs and activities will be. Kids can usually stay after school for those. There's a late bus actually that stays till 3 o'clock, and then we'll take kids home. So if you work, you don't have to worry about, if your child wants to stay after, having to get out of work somehow and come pick them up. There's a late bus that can take them home. We have some kids in the past who've actually started their own clubs. So if maybe there's nothing on here that they're interested in, but there's something that they're really interested in, and they have a couple other friends that would be interested and can find a staff member here, they can start something on their own. And then there's all the sports, the soccer and baseball and wrestling are things you have to try out for, but our track and cross country, I believe everybody can participate. And even if you're not maybe a team sport kid, but you want to do something that a lot of kids are involved in, track and cross country are great opportunities for them, especially if you've never done anything before. I feel like, soccer, sometimes you need some experience, and baseball and all the other sports. Track, we have kids that they've never done a team sport before, and they kind of can jump into that. So it's a nice way for them to get involved and feel like they're part of something. You can go to the next slide. So ways to contact us. All of our emails are listed. Miss Barton would be your contact person, because she will actually have your student next year. If you see there's McGee School Counselors, that's something you can start following now. We post different activities that we do as the counseling department, but just different activities that go on around the school, or if there's neat articles that we come across that we feel like would be important for parents to read, we post things like that on our McGee School Counseling page. So we would love to have you. You don't have to wait until your child actually starts here to kind of see what is going on around the building. And we will open up for question and answers now with the time we have left. You can either put them in the chat or just unmute yourself. And somebody asked that says, look, I see a question in there about after the late bus. Yes, there is a late bus for after school activities.
And for the robotics club, there is a robotics club at Berlin High School, and they do encourage McGee students to join that. And they usually send out a notification for that. And I know one of the questions in the registration was about communication. someone said they had heard the communication from the school to parents wasn't really that great. So the biggest thing is you have to make sure you're checking your email, because a lot of the communication from our school comes through Miss Lord through School Messenger. So if you're like a person that is not good with checking their email, unfortunately, you're going to miss a lot of important information. So if you can try to make a habit, even if you want to make a new email that so it doesn't get clogged up with other stuff. And so like that's your email, you're getting all your school stuff from. I used to suggest when I used to work in a high school for seniors, I used to suggest like make a different email that you can put on all your college applications so it doesn't get lost in the mix. And so you can, you can do that too. Just make sure that the office has the correct email that you check most frequently. So pretty much all of our correspondence is sent out via School Messenger, but another way is through the Miss Hughes and Miss Stevenson, correct me if I'm wrong, but the Schoology announcements that come out from Miss Reinholtz, are those sent out to parents or no? I can't remember, but you can always look on, if you log into your kid's Schoology, like we talked about, every morning there's morning announcements and throughout the week. So anything important like tryouts that are coming up, info sessions that are coming up for clubs. If a club is meeting, it'll be in this like Schoology announcement page. So you could log into your students and see like the daily announcements that happen frequently.
I think those are also posted on our website too, the announcements.
Oh, okay.
I think they are, yeah. Yep. And somebody asks, are clubs after school? They are after school.
Someone asked if your child has a 504 plan, do they get to see the school separately? So I know that students that receive special education services did have a separate day. I do not believe that the 5th graders who have 504 plans see the school on a different occasion. Again, they will see it again in August. If over the summer you feel like it's really important that your student come into the building again, if you call the main office, I'm sure that there's someone in the main office that would be happy to give you a walk around the building. But they don't get another visit here until end of August. I think I'm trying to think of the other questions that I saw in the registration. I think that we answered, or I think we touched on it, all the questions from the registration.
Yes.
The tour is with parents. Yep.
And when we did it, the way that it worked this past year is you bring your child's schedule with you, and we have copies of them there. And then we do the tour with you, which kind of bounce around to the main points in the school. And then you can walk around with your student and their schedule and just sort of check things out.
It's usually a couple days before the start of school. I think that's when ours was this year. It was like 2 days before the start of school.
Yeah,
so end
they
of
haven't
August.
planned it yet.
We're just coming up on time and I want to be respectful of everyone's time. I know people are probably running to work, but we'll take a few more questions. Students from, no. It wouldn't be, I mean, unless students are checking like Schoology through, like checking the announcements, but they can access that online. Because again, students really shouldn't have their phones out. So please, one thing I will say, please don't text your student during the school day. We have a lot of students who are like, well, my mom texted me during class and said that I need to call her. Please don't do that, because it's going to get them in trouble and it will get their phone taken away. So we always tell students, like, if you need to reach your parent, like it's something like they really need to talk to you about, like we'll let students call parents in our office if we feel like it's an emergency, or you can always call the main office and they'll call your student down.
Basically, students, sorry, Jess, basically students get their phone taken away and then they get it back at the end of the day. But then the next time that happens, it's kept in the office until you come and pick it up. So it's not really convenient.
I wonder if what maybe they're talking about with that too is, I know like for band and concerts and sometimes like kids that do wrestling or different after school activities, they'll do a remind. It's like a text feature that the coaches and stuff can disseminate information. So sometimes kids will give their personal cell phones as well as parents too. I'm wondering if maybe that was what they're thinking about, because normally academic stuff wouldn't be, nothing like that would be done over a text message or a cell phone.
Students do, I think you should have gotten an email from the music department for your music selections. And the music department did share with students when they came to visit the options for music. So you should have gotten an email. If you did not get an email, please contact, I believe Mr. Cheverini, the assistant principal here, sent that out. So if you didn't get an email about that, and you also should have gotten a flyer that your student brought home, I believe it was just given on Friday, or not Friday, earlier this week, regarding health and wellness. And the parents do need to purchase a shirt and a heart rate monitor. I think it's $10 total. So if you did not get that flyer, I would contact your student's teacher, because I believe they were given to the 5th grade teachers to bring home.
Inhalers, I believe, are kept in the nurse's office. We do have students that self-carry EpiPens, but inhalers, I believe, are in the nurse's office. I don't know.
I think they can self-carry as well, though. I think it's a parent decision. I think you just need something from the doctor in order to do so. It would make sense, right? If the kids, if they're out in the field, we don't want to have to run inside. If they can self-carry, that would be great. Somebody asked about cell phones too, and I just feel like I know Ashley kind of responded, but it's an important, I feel like, topic. Lots of times parents will give kids cell phones come middle school. So I would say the majority of the kids have them. There's also a handful, actually I would say there's a decent amount, especially in 6th grade, that still don't, and some that hold off until 8th grade or even high school. What I can say is I highly, highly recommend, if you do get your child a cell phone or give it to them, that it comes with parameters, that they know that you have access to it, that you're checking what's going on there. It's not about, you know, breaking their trust or not trusting them. It's about making sure they're safe. The majority of the things that we see in terms of mean behavior and just they're immature and they don't have the skills sometimes to make the best decisions on there. There's a lot of things that they have access to and that can get them in trouble on their cell phones.
If you let your child download apps like Snapchat or TikTok or Instagram or anything like that, I would highly encourage you to require that they use a specific password for all of their apps, so that they know you can log in and check. And again, like Ms. Stevenson said, it's not that you don't trust them, but they're kids, and we, kids make mistakes, and their brains are not fully formed yet. So they're, they may think they're making a good decision, and it's not a good decision. And really encourage your student, if they see something online, like a post or someone that's posting something that's not appropriate or something that's concerning, please encourage your child that they should communicate that with you. And then you as an adult can decide if that needs to be communicated with the school. Social media is a big issue. And I don't see that going away as they go through school. So just encouraging your student to practice safe social media use.
Tryouts for sports are held during the school year, just so you know. It'll be on the announcements. And again, you can look at Schoology, not in the summertime. And lockers are standard locker combinations. Turn it once to the right, twice to the left. Yeah. And then they get a separate locker in PE class. So they'll have 2 combinations. They'll have a locker that they use in the building for their regular day. And then they actually get one in PE class as well.
If there's any other questions after you sign off, like you thought of something that you meant to ask, feel free to email me. My email, I'll put my email in the chat again in case anyone missed it on the slide. But I'm happy to answer any questions. And, just as a reminder, I will be your student's 6th grade counselor, but if I'm not available, something comes up, Ms. Hughes and Ms. Stevenson are also here. But like, I'm going to be your main point of contact. So if you have any questions, definitely feel free to contact me. And I hope that today was useful. I hope that the information we shared was helpful for you and hopefully helped to ease some nerves. I think sometimes parents are more nervous than the child is, and which I understand as a parent, it's a big transition. So we hope that today was helpful for you.
And Ashley stays with your student right through 8th grade. So she's not just their 6th grade, she's with them the whole time.
Yep, which is great. All right. Well, thank you everyone so much. And we hope everyone has a wonderful summer.
Thank you.
Thank you.